Welcome to What Crisis? Fully living in your midlife and beyond. I'm your host, Dan Johansson. What Crisis offers insight and guidance on living an intentional life for people who find themselves on a journey of growth in their middle years. Is there a crisis? Absolutely. The crisis of realizing you're literally on the backside of your life and you haven't truly been living. Whether you're looking to grow into a better version of yourself, or to find or strengthen your loving relationships, or maybe just learn how to give yourself the permission to lead a purpose-driven life with joy and grace, you'll learn something new every episode. So come along for the ride. Hey there, here's a thought on romantic love. In a world that feels so transactional, we can be so easy, so willing to push it away when it gets out of the honeymoon phase. But we'll get there. Wait, right now, let's take a step back and set the stage. Let's not forget that we're talking about this from the perspective of midlife. Let's talk about the willingness and bravery involved in looking for love at all at our age. Because at this age, whether you're single or single again, it can be a little scary to put yourself out there. And like some of us, you can probably look back at past relationships and find examples of good and not so good things that have happened to you, or maybe even done by you. And you still feel them, especially the stings. I know I can. These are all lessons if we choose to learn from them about who we are and how we feel about ourselves and what we want in relationship. So when we decide to navigate again, we will likely come across people who've been there too, on one side or the other. And they're feeling a lot of the same things. That same nervous excitement, or maybe they're carrying some heavy weights from past pains or failures. Whether that be learning from incompatibilities, to learning how to set boundaries. We'll talk about that in another episode. But remember that to be vulnerable and open, it's a choice for not just you, but for them as well, and it can be scary. Opening yourself up to someone new has as much risk as it does reward. And it's for the possibility of the reward that we take the risk at all. I'll share with you something a friend of mine wrote after a breakup that really resonated with me. She said, "I'm choosing to believe it's worth the risk. I'm choosing to believe I can put down my armor and try again. If you focus on protecting your heart, you could avoid a lot of pain, but you could also end up living half of life. And perhaps if you're living fully, you're not missing half of anything necessarily, but I believe having someone to share your experiences with can make the journey a little bit more wonderful." As a note, we'll talk about the potential shit show of online dating in an upcoming podcast. But for now, let's focus on why partnering may be a great thing for you. So you've decided to put yourself out there, and you finally meet someone. You like them. They like you. Oh shit. What do I do now? What do I do? First, you've got to start with a willingness to risk it, right? Not just now, probably again, for the chance to get there. Be open to look at things differently because your perceptions have been colored by expectations. We'll talk about expectations another time too. In the beginning, though, everything is exciting. You're swirling in the joy of newness, new ways of talking, a new rhythm of communicating. All of these firsts. Yeah, all of them. So here's where it's up to you to take the blinders off. After dating for some time, you're probably wanting an actual relationship. So be curious. Look at everything. Look at the seams that hold the fabric together, how they're wired and how they're built. Because it's in those seams and the subtle gray area where the truth behind any beautiful pattern gets shown. And not just look for them. Show them yourself. Show your true self at whatever pace makes you feel safe. Safety is important. Safety leads to real and deliberate vulnerability. Part of that is accepting the totality of you. You need to accept all of who you are and share the beauty of who that is. Offer the same and accept them in the same way. Grow into trust, but do it completely. At the same time, it's easy to get excited. So don't ignore red flags. You may have ones that are specific to you from something you've learned, and you take the time to understand what to look for and to look out for. Red flags are a whole different topic that we'll get into. But in the meantime, let's settle in with the idea of actually putting yourself out there. Here's my checklist for you. It may sound like a lot and a little scary, but to find real sustainable love, you need to be just as much as you seek, right? You have to be. This asks a lot, but it's the only way. It starts with willingness, openness, curiosity, safety, vulnerability, acceptance, trust, availability as well, both literal and emotional. Without emotional availability and someone being open with their time, there's not a lot there. But these are the table stakes if you're looking for something truly fulfilling. So, my friends, are you? We'll talk about falling, flying, and all the good stuff in the next episode. Until then. Hey, thanks for listening and spending part of your day with me. If you like what you hear on the podcast, please subscribe. And if you're so inclined, since you like it anyway, please leave a kind review. For more information, follow me on danjohansson.com, where you'll also find a link to my brand new book, The Way In, which is out and available right now.